Hello and welcome back once again to movie reviews. So finally got around to seeing the probably biggest movie of the year, Star Wars: The Force Awakens. Gonna try not to give too many spoilers in this, so I'm gonna be very careful about how I explain the plot. Yeah, and hopefully I can get all this in before my roommates come back, because I was actually gonna record this yesterday as soon as I got back from the movie, and the roommates came walking in the door like literally right as I got everything set up to record. So I was like, crap. And then they went back out again later on in the afternoon, but I guess I had fallen asleep, and I ended up waking up when they came back in the door again. So they just went out. It's 9 a.m., and I'm hoping I can get this in. Hopefully they'll be gone for about 20 minutes so I can do this. So, what did I think of The Force Awakens? I liked it. It's actually probably one of the best Star Wars movies that they've done. The plot was sort of repetitive of the original trilogy. Not too many spoilers there. I'll go into that a little bit more. But overall, I liked what they did with it. It fits into the saga of the Star Wars universe. That's really my only gripe with it, is that it kind of rehashes the plot of the original trilogy, where the second trilogy, episodes 1, 2, and 3 that everyone hated, at least kind of broke away from that a little bit and did its own thing. This one kind of went back to that, but I guess it's sort of paying homage to those, but at the same time telling its own spin on it. So we learn from the opening crawl that Luke Skywalker has gone missing, and the rebel forces are trying to locate him. They get wind of someone on a planet who might have a map leading to where he's at. So they send the best pilot in the Resistance to go retrieve this map. And somewhat as traditional with the thing, the pilot comes under attack, so he gives the map to his droid, BB-8. And now the droid has to make his way back to the Rebel Alliance. So that sounds familiar, R2. So they rehash that. The pilot gets captured, and he's one of the stormtroopers who's in the raid that captures the pilot kind of like freaks out about seeing everyone getting killed, and he kind of comes to the conclusion, I'm not going to get killed for this. For basically the Empire. It's not the Empire in this one, but basically the Empire. I'm not going to get killed for these guys, so he kind of rebels and he sets the pilot free, and he's like, I'm helping you because I can't get off the station without a pilot. So he sets him free. He agrees to take him with him. They get separated. So then the pilot kind of wanders in through this desert into this town, because they go back to the planet to get the droid. So he goes in looking for help. He ends up running into, and by the way, that stormtrooper is Finn, the character that we see in the previews. Then we meet the character of Rey, who lives on the desert planet and is a scrap salvager. It's explained through a flashback that she was left there by her parents, but more on that later. So she goes around to all these old Imperial fighters that had crashed on the planet, and she harvests his scrap and takes it to this junk trader who gives her basically food portions for it. So she does that to survive, and she finds the droid. And, she's originally going to sell him, and then she decides to keep him because she values life. And then she meets up with Finn, who's looking for the droid. And, she realizes that... So then they're like, okay, we got to get the droid back to the Resistance. So they're trying to find a ship to get off-world. And that's when they meet up with Han Solo and Chewbacca. So, obviously, that kind of plays back to the first one. They're looking for, when there's two characters looking for a pilot, they meet Han Solo. Han, having worked with the Resistance before, he goes, I know where to take it, let's go. So then they meet up with the Rebel Alliance, which is, of course, Princess Leia, or, well, now she's General Leia. And they find out that this Galactic Alliance, or whatever, the Empire, has this massive weapon, and somebody comments, so they built a third Death Star, and then they kind of joke at it, and they're like, no, and then they like show a visual representation, like, let's use this thumbtack. They're like, no, this was a Death Star, and this is their star base, so it's like massively bigger. So they kind of joke about that, but basically it's a third Death Star. So they're like, okay, well, we gotta blow it up, right? Because that's what the movies are about, someone trying to blow up the Death Star. So they go to this planet that basically is the Death Star, and they're trying to drop the shield so they can blow it up. Sound familiar? They end up meeting up with Kylo Ren, whose story has been revealed way early in this movie. Like, whatever twist spoiler you think is going to happen for who he is, it's done in like the first 10 minutes of the movie. So it's no big secret. There is a major twist in the movie, but that comes like a little bit after the point that I'm at now, and I'm not going to tell you what it is, because that would also spoil a lot of other things. So Rey and Finn and a couple other people have to try to get in and shut down the shields so that the fighter crew can destroy the Mega Death Star, which is actually called the Star Killer Base, and there's a reason it's called the Star Killer Base. But I'm not going to tell you what it is because that would be a spoiler. So they get in. They have a confrontation with Kylo Ren. They end up getting the shield down. The squadron manages to, spoiler, destroy the Death Star, and everyone gets off planet, and that's more or less the end of the movie. Then they find out that they have the completed map, and they go looking for Luke Skywalker and roll credits. So yeah, more or less, if it sounded real familiar, if it sounded like I was explaining the first 3 Star Wars movies, that's kind of what it was. But it's its own unique story. A lot of twists and turns in it that I really enjoyed. One major one that I was like, oh wow, well, I didn't see that coming. The rest I kind of called, but only because back when The Phantom Menace came out, there was a series of books that depicted what the next 3 Star Wars movies would be if they made 7, 8, and 9, which at the time Lucas was going to, then he backed out of, then he was back to, then he backed out of again. But there was these books that he was going to base it off of from the extended universe, so I knew what the story was in those. This uses elements of that, and that's all I'm going to say as far as a spoiler. It doesn't directly go 7, 8, 9 from what that story was, but it uses minor elements of that story. It would actually use what would have been that story's end of 8, beginning of 9 to do this movie. So if I spoiled too much of it for you by telling you that, then sorry, but if you haven't read the books, then I didn't spoil crap for you, did I? So yeah, I kind of saw some of the elements coming. They did change a couple minor details about it, which was a nice spin. The only other real down point I had was there was a dry point in the movie, but it wasn't very long. There was one point where everyone was just kind of sitting around talking and like explaining everything, and everything just kind of went into slow motion almost. Not like physically in the film, but like the storytelling. It just kind of grinded to a halt for a minute. And then like right when I was like, okay, come on, you're starting to drag this on. You don't need to have all this deposition here. And then it like started going again with the next scene. So it did have that one small down point, but it wasn't enough to really ruin the movie or anything. It's just like, okay, come on, next. Yeah, it's like, we get it, move on. Yeah, so overall, I actually like this one quite a bit. As far as a star rating on this one, I really want to give it above a 4 because I liked it, but like I said, it does have that one dead point. It does basically rehash part of the original trilogy. It does borrow elements from stories I already knew. Yeah, so overall, on a star rating, I'm probably going to give this one You know, honestly, I'm going to give it a 4. Screw it. I was going to drop it down to a 3.5, but, you know, I do still have a whole nother number up I can go. A perfect film would be a 5. So I could have always given it a 4.5 off of a perfect movie down to just under a perfect movie, but I don't think it deserves quite that high of a rating, so I'm going to stick with a 4. So yeah, that is basically it for Star Wars. Didn't spoil too much of it for you, hopefully. I was going to go very spoiler heavy and then just bleep the entire video, so it's like, okay, and here's what happened in Star Wars, and as you see my lips moving, but I thought that would be kind of pointless to do as a review. So what the hell is going on outside? There's elephants out there or something. So that's basically it for this episode. I'm going to get this one edited and uploaded real quick because I already had to push it back a day. And then either later tonight or tomorrow I'm going to go see Daddy's Home, and that'll probably be my last movie review of the year. Hateful Eight is coming out December 31st now. It was originally scheduled for January 8th. Then it got moved back to January 1st. Now it's bumped back another day to December 31st, so that is technically an end-of-the-year movie. But I have to put a cutoff somewhere, otherwise my end-of-the-year reviews aren't going to get put out until, like, February. So I'm going to do a cutoff as far as Christmas Day is the cutoff. That way I still got time to get everything done. So Hateful Eight will probably be a New Year's 2016 review officially, even though it came out 2015. So just so you know what's going on with that. And there are a bunch of movies I want to see in January already, so hopefully I don't go broke doing this again. So yeah, that is it for this episode. Again, as always, thanks for watching. Remember to like, comment, rate, subscribe, and share the video. And until next time, we'll see you at the movies.